inside another dimension, face battling barbarians and evil magic on a quest for adventure in a maze of monsters. Once you get into it, you'll never be the same. Hero Quest. Now, with 2 new adventure packs, the legend grows.
Hi there. Welcome back to Not Your Mother's Hobbies. Today we're looking at another ghost, this time the penultimate baddie for the box. It is the Dread Wraith. You can see here she's another translucent miniature. I've got her spray primed with a matte varnish. You don't want to go too heavy or you might get a little bit of frosting like I have. But I'll show you a little way to take care of that if it happens to you. So without further ado, let's get right into painting this mini. So as I mentioned before, I did spray prime this or prepare this mini using a varnish, right? I used a spray can varnish, and that protected the mini and got it ready for painting. I did this with all those other ghosts before. Some of you might have seen my comment, but I forgot to tell you guys. So here I'm telling you, you're doing translucent minis, you're going to want to spray prime it, but with a varnish. I used a matte varnish, and you see this sucker got really frosted up. Used a little too much, but we're using Art Coat or a brush on gloss varnish. Whatever you've got, just put a nice little thin layer of gloss on there, and you can see it cleared up a lot of that frosting, turned it kind of back to normal. So if you've got any frosting issues when you prep this mini, that's how you could solve that. We're using Luxian Purple this time for our cloudy effect. This is going to go over the majority of our miniature because this one is mostly cloud, it's mostly smoke. So we're going to go all around coating this with Luxian Purple. I'm not even thinning it down, but if you think this is too dark, too potent, you absolutely can thin it down. I recommend a medium like Contrast Medium or Lamian Medium if you're using Citadel paints. Here you can see we're not going to do the face. You're going to try your best to stay away from that face because we're going to do it in another color, right? The smoke on this one is a different color than the ghostly skin. And speaking of that, we're using Aethermatic Blue for the ghostly skin. So you can see everything else has been coated with that purple. We're coming back here to do the ghosty face, to the ghosty skin with that Aethermatic. Some of you guys mentioned in the Specter videos that it looked a little dark, a little too dark. That might be true. If you want to thin it down, make it a little brighter, you totally can. But in real life and in lighting, when light's hitting it, it's really pops bright. So, little caveat there, but totally, if you think it's too dark, thin it down on your side. I'm not thinning any of these. I'm also using this Aethermatic to go over top of anything that looks like a face. I'm doing double duty. You could avoid these if you want to. When you're doing that purple, I chose not to, and then just double dipped, tinted them over top. We're using our bold titanium white, or any white you got. You could even use that Cruddy Craft paint. That'll get you through this. And you're going to dry brush all over the miniature, picking up all those edges and highlights. You don't have to do everything. Obviously, shadows you can keep, or some interesting rolling billow clouds you can, emphasize, you can focus on. You don't have to go all over the place. This isn't our usual dry brush, but you do want to hit the majority of those focal points and whatnot, because this is a translucent mini. We want it to pop. We want to see all those details, and this is going to help us out there. So just go all over this miniature and hit it with that white, picking out all your spots. I might have gone a little too heavy on the left, you can see. Maybe I could have gone a little lighter over there. So that's kind of what I mean by you don't have to hit it all. We're using Black Templar here for the crown. You can see that ear while I'm doing the crown. You can see that ear is more painted than it was last time. That's because I went in with that white with a paintbrush. I painted in the ear. You can totally do that. You don't have to dry brush and say, I guess that's it. I went in, took my paintbrush, and I painted in some extra details. Brought out the cheeks, brought out the nose, brought out the lips. You can too. So just to point that out while we're doing the crown. We're using Skeleton Horde for that little skull on top, and then coming back with a Dark Reaper to pull out some more mid-tones, make that crown stand out a little bit better. Make it not just a big black blob on her forehead. So coming in there, adding those mid-tones back on the crown. And then we're going to highlight it up with Fenrisian Gray. You know how I like to do my blacks. I don't want to do gray. I like to do kind of blue. I think it looks cooler. I think it stands out. And that's what I'm doing on this crown. Then we're going to use Wraithbone for that tiny little skull in the center of her crown. Just make that guy stand out. Make that whole crown stand out. And then we're coming in with some Aethermatic Blue. You can see I put it on my thumbnail. That's not just out of habit for this one. We're wanting to glaze it, so I don't want a lot of this Aethermatic Blue on. Just a little bit, and we're coming back for those faces and just glazing them up a bit to make them stand out. I'm also hitting up that ear. I didn't like how white it was. And yeah, we're just going around touching up that Aethermatic Blue. We're glazing it on. We're not heavily coating. So yeah, you can do that too with your faces. Make them a little more blue. Make a little more points of interest. Go around the face and clean it up if there's some spots you don't like. If it was too dry brushed, too streaky, too powdery, what have you. You want some shadows in there, a little bit more color. Go back, bring it in, have fun. And then we have that base. There is enough space on this base to do our normal gray paint, texture paint, dry brush, wash in a dry brush. Now, last time when we did the Specters, I totally could have missed it. The opportunity to do another color and show you guys how easy it is that you can mix this up and change it. So here's a green one. We're doing Ghostbusters Slimer style. We're using that Mantis Warriors green. We're just going all over the place, plopping it all over just like we did in that Specter video. Quick and dirty, wick it up if it's pooling, move it around, get it in the places you want it to. Don't go too heavy, don't go too light, make it how you like it, and follow up with that bold titanium white dry brushing. Easy as peasy. Is that a thing? It is now. Easy as peasy. You got it. And there you have it. We have our Dread Wraith, the big old boss, finished. Now you'll notice I don't have texture on my base when I said you could. I completely forgot. This was so fast to do, it slipped right by me that, oh yeah, I should probably do that. I was like, hey, look at that, I'm done already, and moved right on. So that's something that I will come back to, and I will be doing myself. So if you're wondering, hey, where'd that go? I guess I don't do it. You can do it. Or hey, if you like it plain, you totally can too. I think this came out really awesome. I think the contrast of blue and purples really stands out. That crown doesn't get lost. I think everything really, the detail on it is super cool. Came out really well for just winging it and going on with these ghosties. This green one, Slimer style, came out really cool. You can see here, really stands out against the Dread Wraith herself. It'll be another little focal point on the board for you. You can use it as a mini boss in your own adventures, things like that. But Dreadmoon is almost done. We got one more mini and then some furniture. It has been a wild ride on this one. Lots of cool, interesting minis. Lots of new things to try. Speaking of trying, we got our Patreon up if you want to support us in another way. We got a cool Discord. We got credits. We got behind the scenes. Check it out if you're interested. If not, for likes if you enjoyed what I got going on. Comments if you want to talk about it. I'm usually down there rolling around in the mud. Otherwise, see you next time. Bye-bye.